Sebastian Mel Martinez, MMAnytt here in Houston for UFC 192, where Frank Trevino faces Sage Northcutt on the undercard. So, Frank, this is obviously a huge card, lots of big fights, and you guys are kicking off the entire event. What is what do you think that when they were matchmaking and putting together this card, they chose you and Sage Northcutt to kick off the undercard?
I mean, I was a little offended, not to be mean about it, but I mean, the guy's really fought nobody. His record is pretty pampered, but hey, they could have said the same thing about me a couple of years back. But I've been battle tested before. I fought Johnny Case, which is a tough guy, man. Couldn't finish me, man. The guy came out, doing everything he could, and he couldn't finish me. I take that as an accomplishment in myself. I mean, he was finishing everybody else. So I take that as an accomplishment, and that should prove that, I'm not just some chump that came on out of the streets and just got handed a shot. I worked for what I got, and I've worked for everything I've had. So, it'll show in the ring, or in the octagon come Saturday.
Well, yeah, I'm glad actually you touched on that, because Johnny Case, I mean, he's proved himself to be a pretty good fighter with a lot of stuff going for him. So, like, looking back, I mean, I'm sure that loss maybe isn't as tough now when you see it, but obviously he's a pretty decent guy.
Yeah, definitely. He's a decent guy. I felt I could have done more in the fight. But it happens. When you fight good caliber fighters. I mean, it's hard to really predict what to do in the octagon. I mean, anything can happen, and that's why that saying comes from. Anything can happen in the octagon. It takes one punch, or it takes one hold, whatever. In that case, I just I couldn't find my range. Yeah, I couldn't get him off me as far as the takedown goes. So he scored his takedowns. He really didn't damage me on the floor. Really didn't do much damage as far as like hurting me wise, but he did pull off the victory. He did come out with the win, and I mean, my hat's off to him, man. He's a good guy.
Now, your nickname, Cayenne, where does that come from?
My nickname originates from my instructor. My instructor name is Cayenne. Cayenne means student of Cayenne. It's basically the same thing. Just like crew to Mark Dalagradi, he adopted the name Si Teotong. Same thing, Si Teotong means he's a student of Teotong. It's basically the same thing. And so I adapted that tradition as far as like giving respects to my instructor, because without him, I mean, my striking wouldn't be there.
Yeah. Well, we see that you've come into the cage a lot of times with the Thai band on your forehead and stuff like that. So obviously, I mean, is it safe to say that you prefer striking over any other discipline?
Definitely. I prefer to strike before any other discipline. Definitely, but I mean, if they take me to the ground, I feel very confident on the ground. I mean, I haven't submitted anybody yet in the UFC, but I mean, I fought a black belt who couldn't submit me. He took my back. He had very good control over me. I mean, I thought I was gonna get submitted, but he didn't. It didn't happen. Same thing with Johnny Case. He got my back several times. Wasn't able to submit me. So I feel that my ground game is fairly decent to avoid submissions and to be able to put people in danger as well as far as submission goes. So I feel pretty well rounded as far as the whole game goes.
Well, you've got a pretty good opportunity to score your first UFC or just the first submission here, facing Sage Northcutt. Like you said, you feel his record is a bit pampered. How do you feel about him overall as a fighter?
He's a tough kid. He's an athlete, man. I mean, you can tell in his body, man. The guy's an athlete. And he puts in work. Whether I agree with his training methods or not, I mean, it's whatever he wants to do. That's his business. I hear he doesn't spar. Hey, that's his business. I'm not gonna go and give him tips either. But I mean, he wants to get in the cage like that. Hey, that's fine. But I mean, he's gonna have a rude awakening when he comes in the cage with me.
And is there any distance where you feel like you have a clear-cut advantage over him?
No, I don't feel like I have an advantage over him or not. I mean, the guy is tall, so I mean, I'm gonna have to deal with the distance again as far as the reach goes. I mean, but I fought taller guys before. I fought Wolf Florentino prior to my UFC career, and I beat him with an armbar. And so I mean, capability of me making the submission happen in the fight is possible, man. It's just, you know, it's like I said, it just whatever happens in that fight, well, it's what's gonna happen. You know, I don't like to predict things and say, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, because you know, sometimes it won't happen that way. You know, I just gonna go out there, play my game, and whatever happens, happens.
All right, well, we're not going to ask you to predict anything, but considering that this is the first fight on the card, why should the fans be sure to tune in from start to finish to make sure that they catch your fight against Northcutt?
Well, I want to say that the reason to catch my fight is because I always come out and make it a good fight. You know, I try my best to make the fight exciting. So expect something new, something old. I don't know. You know, you never know. Just expect to come out there and see a good show, because we're gonna kick off the show and we're gonna kick it off right.
All right, I'm sure the fans will definitely be looking forward to it.
Thank you,
Frank. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, man.